Well, I guess we're on. So, the question is, if your power goes out and you gotta dye some yarn, some fiber, what are you gonna do? Oh, and on top of that, it's freezing outside. The following is a little experiment with an American Sun oven dyeing some fleece, some roving, some stuff. Anyway, and on top of that, my microphone was all screwy, so I will narrate. Hope you like it. So here's the Sun oven. In case you don't know, it's an insulated box with a bunch of solar reflectors on it. And it's got a glass front with a thermometer. I'm putting in the fiber, and it's had a chance to warm up to about 75 degrees. We'll be back in about 15 minutes to take a look at this. This is Targhee carded fiber that's in here. And after about 25 minutes, we are approaching the 200 mark, and we do get up to just under 300. And now the sun's kind of backed off. The box is cooling a little bit, and I think we're ready to take these things out and let them cool the rest of the way. And besides, I wanted to use the box to heat up our lunch. So I had used dollar store Ziploc bags, and that one actually leaked a little bit, and it did get hot enough in here for the bags to melt shut. So that's certainly something to keep in mind. Still have some dye in the water here that by the time these things had cooled, all of the dye that they were sitting in was into the fiber, all done. So that was great. So we're gonna just take these out of the solar oven, put them, and they've been in the solar oven for about 2 hours total. And close that up, let it heat up for lunch, and take these on over to the bird bath drying area to join these others, some roving from another project. Let them cool off next to the bird bath, and this is how they look when they dried out. I'm pretty happy about that. And one of the things that I like about doing things this way is that you've got color variations that if I were messing around with it wouldn't be there. Now this is a pot with some Cotswold locks and some dye that was thoroughly mixed when it went in there, but you can see that it separated and struck differently on those locks. This had been left out in the box overnight, and it froze. So we're going to heat this up again today, and even though the ambient temperature outside is doesn't get up over 40 degrees, the solar oven was hitting 280, 300 degrees without much problem at all. And so it worked really well. And it's nice to have an excuse. I mean, you know, this thing bakes potatoes and pasteurizes water and does all kinds of good stuff. But in a relatively short period of time. But it's nice to have something to use the heat that's already built up in there to do lunch or dinner or whatever. Anyway, so this is cooling back down. This is what this stuff looked like after it came out. And so I'd say this was successful. Now we know that no power is no excuse. Something like that. Anyway, it worked out really well. I haven't yet spun any of that fiber, but it dyed beautifully, rinsed just fine. It didn't have any bleeding anywhere. All of that excess dye in those plastic bags coming out of the Sun oven, by the next morning, everything was clear. So, anyway, just a thought. So even if it's cold, and there's no electricity, you can still dye your yarn. So there, fiber on.